Bienvenidos and welcome back, Familia, to another episode of The Chosen Season 2. We're checking out episode 3 today. And before we get started, I just want to give a quick little shout out to all of those who are joining us on the live chat, which this is probably the best way to enjoy the videos on this channel is to be on the live chat, interacting with one another, answering questions, and asking questions as well. Asking questions is completely fine. So quick shout out to what we got, Erica Ayala, who's in the live chat, and she's right here as well. So she says she sends her love to who else is on here? Patricia Perez. A huge congratulations to Matt Saby, who just who's a grandpa.
Yay.
Congratulations. Be sure to congratulate him.
Abuelito.
Abuelito, yeah. You're an abuelito. That's a well, abuelo. Abuelito is like a tiny little grandpa. But yes, David, she is in two places at once. Hey from Finland. We have Simply Sutu, who's from Finland. Shout out to Linda, who's also from Finland, but she's in Germany. Big Sherm, hello, what's up? Patricia Perez, Zoe Porter, hi. Hope everything's well with you, Zoe. Dori, hermanita, hugs to you and your mamacita and your mother. Shout out to Brittany Culp, David Wellman in the house. We have Ovidio Mare. Welcome to the live chat. Ashley Conway, welcome. Angela in the house, welcome. Melissa Home, thank you so much, Melissa, for joining us. You all are so wonderful. Before we get started with the show, I want to ask that if there are any prayer requests, anything that everyone else can pray for you, please post them in the live chat now. If they're too personal, feel free to join us on our free Discord server, which Erika just posted the link for. It's a free server. You can join us. There are, other Christians and non-Christians who come together to pray for one another, who come and share your personal stories with us, who come and share a lot of wonderful things with us. We watch each other grow. We get to be a global family and congratulate one another with big things like, becoming a grandpa and getting new jobs and healing and all kinds of beautiful, wonderful things. So thank you all so much for joining us. You can join us there, but if there's anyone you'd like to pray for, please mention it in the live chat. And for the rest of you, if you can quickly look through those prayer requests and just offer a small prayer, just mention their name. It doesn't have to be formal. Just with you, just as many people mentioning that person's name or that person's circumstance, God hears it all, and He knows what's in our hearts. So ask from the heart, from the depth of your being, and we'll get started in just a moment, so that we can allow everybody to pray for one another. We're gonna ask you can ask the Father to listen to our prayers. The loving Father who is in all things, everywhere, fully present in this moment, listening to us, hearing our prayers, seeing what's in our heart, filling our hearts, speaking the language of His language, His loving language into us. That's one way of knowing that He is present. You don't just hear Him in your mind. You don't just hear Him in your heart. You hear Him with your entire being. He fills you completely, hears you. He vibrates in your bones, in every cell. You feel Him with your entire existence. And He speaks life into you. Speaks life into you and into the ones that you love. speaks his loving language. And when he's present, all you speak is his words. So it's, for me, it's been an interesting journey because it's not just about reading his word or reading the words that John and Matthew and all of them have written down that he says, but also hearing his word directly from his mouth. That's important. And with that said, Familia, thank you so much for offering one another prayers. We're going to get started now with season 2, episode 3 of The Chosen. Please remember, no spoilers. If anybody pops in later and they start asking, am I still non-Christian? We're going to answer that at the end of the video. Again, we'll go a little bit into it once again at the end of the video. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're new to the live chat, don't be shy, say hi. Just give us a little wavy emoji so we can welcome you to the live chat and to La Familia. And we will now get started. This is episode 3. I have the volume turned up all the way, so that's as high as it'll go. I'm really sorry. Tim says, pay attention to the beginning scene. You got it. Oh, it starts with the clapping. All right. Clap with me, Familia. Get into it. Here we go. A big hug to, is it Lais from Brazil? Bobby, welcome. Welcome, Keith. Rachel in the house, welcome. Danny, welcome, Danny. Welcome, hello. Hey, Jesus Simón Martínez. Bienvenido, welcome. Andrea Martínez, welcome. Welcome, Faye. Welcome, Danny. Tim. And here we go. We're paying attention to the scene because apparently it was shot in one take. This is exciting. This is really challenging to do, by the way. Beautiful work on the costume or the outfit, wardrobe.
But where would be a good place to start?
For you?
Yes, for me. The Law of Moses, the prophecies of Isaiah, the wisdom of Solomon.
For you, I think Psalms of David. Good start.
I'm ready.
For example, to the choir master, a Psalm of David. If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there.
And?
Just that. Just a few more minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Just that.
But I'm not planning on ascending to heaven or making my bed deep in the depths.
You asked for a passage.
Yes, but one that could help me understand how you and everyone else knows more.
That's what I know and what you must come to believe if you want to make any meaningful study of Torah.
I don't understand. Excuse me?
Yes,
Can you tell me what happened with Jesus?
he healed me.
Healed you of what?
Epilepsy.
Yes, and how long have...
Say it back to me.
If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed deep in the depths, you are there.
There's nowhere you can go. No height you can climb to in your intellectual mind. No
Yes!
depths you can reach in your soul where God is not with you.
Philip, come on.
Do you get it?
I think so.
Don't get it in here.
No amount of learning can bring you closer to God. Or make you more or less precious to Him. He's always right here, right now.
Oh!
For you.
But I don't feel it.
The feeling doesn't always come first. Sometimes you have to believe first.
Believing a thing does not make it true.
That is wisdom, but these are not just any words. They are David's in Scripture.
But how do you know whether David was only talking about himself and not everyone else? He did say, if I ascend, not if people ascend.
Almost sounds like you don't want it to be true.
Excuse me?
No, that's not
Can you
true.
please tell me what happened with Jesus? Are you with him?
Yes, we are his students.
Tranquilo.
Are you okay?
Fine. So with the passage of David, I'm just trying to understand.
The trying is the thing. Meditate on it for a few days and come back to me. You're always writing things down. Try writing it down several times. Something about writing it down that goes a long way.
That's what I say too.
Matthew, I think we've only just begun to know all you can do. Thaddeus! Little James! You're up! How's the line? It's getting longer. I'll come back out soon and help you. I won't take my full break.
Where's Nathaniel? Is it my turn to replace him?
Said he's staying through, doesn't want to stop his shift.
Philip, take my place. See if you could make some headway. He's scary good.
There have been over 60 people already, with 50 waiting in line currently, not including lepers and others who are still in line.
You say over 50 in the line right now?
Yes.
How long is this going to last?
Well, it depends on each encounter you have.
Never mind, I get it.
That's so sad.
Matthew,
Yes?
did you get some ideas from Torres?
Yes. From the songs of David. The passage to study before we learn more. If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed deep in the depths, you are there.
Bleeding.
What? Is that from the firewood from before?
Yes. And then when I pushed back the man that was rushing the line, I cut it more on his back. Hand me that rag.
That same man you speak of bumped into me on his way out after Jesus healed his wife. I believe he's one of the men who arrived here last night.
Almost a 4-hour walk this morning, and we didn't even have a moment to settle in. I mean, it's great what he's doing, obviously, but I wish it would have happened tomorrow.
What is happening?
It's getting dark. It's wild.
What are we a part of? Is it wrong to say I have no idea?
No, it makes me feel better.
I think that I haven't had time to think about it. All this time, my parents, I just know, hate it. Other than that, I figured Thomas and I would get our answers from the rest of you.
The word is already spreading so fast.
I didn't think about that.
Have you thought about the fame from all of this?
I wouldn't mind being famous.
I'm not surprised.
Not as fun as you might think.
I cannot remember a time I did not think about the Messiah at least once a week. My whole life I prayed and prayed that he would come during this time, and I just hoped that I would at least get to see him. But to be close to him like this, and nobody like me, what's not fun about that?
You called today fun.
Maybe not fun, but good. With this fame comes enemies. You will be hated too.
I'm used to that.
Well, you were protected, and your enemies weren't powerful.
Speaking of enemies, if someone had told you growing up that you would be a student of the Messiah, you would be close to him and you will help him in his mission, what would you have thought?
I would have said, sorry, I'm a girl. Ask my brother.
Fair enough. But really, Thomas, what would you have thought?
I would have thought I don't have military training. That's still a problem, actually.
Exactly. When I was a child, I used to think how amazing it would be to see Messiah kill all the Romans on my street, and I wanted to help him. I trained every day with a wooden sword.
Yes, and I have this scar that proves he was pretty good.
I used to imagine that the Romans would break into our home, and I would be hiding under the bed with a knife. And just when they came to get me, Messiah would rescue me at the last moment.
Didn't think we'd be spending our time healing. Well, watching him heal. And they'll never stop. The people come, the more they hear about it, and we're just going to be doing this the next 5 years. And we'll never get to the fighting part.
Eager to bring out that wooden sword of yours, are you?
Do you honestly not know what I'm talking about?
I guess I haven't had any expectations. It's probably why it's a little easier for me. I can remember as a little girl hearing about how someone would save us someday, but I don't remember much about it. Why is it you expect a warrior?
Zechariah. For I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be captured. Then the Lord will go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fights on a day of battle. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which is in front of Jerusalem on the east.
Yes, yes, yes. The Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, and half of it will move in all this craziness, but we don't even know when this is going to be. If it's even in this lifetime.
Here's what I also do not understand. Isn't the Messiah supposed to come at a time when all is holy? That's at least what you've been telling me.
What is that from?
Even a prophetic poem from the rabbis not so long ago. And there shall be no unrighteousness in them on his day. For they shall all be holy, and their king shall be the Lord Messiah.
Guess that's why the Pharisees do not think he is the one, Mary. You have to help clean up the Red Quarter first.
I don't think he's waiting for us to be holy. I think he's here because we can't be holy without him.
Whoa.
Oh, the silence was crazy there.
The baptizer will want to use that.
That was great. The pacing of that whole conversation
Yes.
was
I need
brilliant.
you to help with crowd control. People are bickering and getting physical, and I can't help much in that department. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Gonna have to use my sword on them.
So, let's see here. How are we doing?
Well, how do I put this?
Well, are you serious?
Goodness,
I'm more
it's getting
so than I
dark.
was.
Yes, yes you are.
I thought you said you were good at this.
I thought I was.
I can't get out of this now.
Sorry, Jesus.
Yeah. So what was everyone talking about?
Not much. Just prophecy, our growing fame, the Messiah healing disease instead of overthrowing the Romans. Small topics like that.
Well, I'm not sorry I missed it. I'm ready for this day to be over.
What about out there? Anything happen in your short shift?
No, it's same as all day. One thing that is annoying me, though, is these people. They are believing in him and praising him, and don't get me wrong, that's great, but it's because he's healing them. The Samaritans.
Yeah, was pretty much what he said. That's all they needed.
I know. I just don't know how many of them would believe in him if he wasn't healing them.
Does it really?
So I have to ask.
Never mind. I'll wait.
I think I can guess.
I have two questions. Forgive me, but I speak plainly. What is your malady? Forgive me, I don't mean to offend.
It's fine. It's
What a beautiful question. What is your
abdominal
malady?
paralysis. It's caused problems since birth.
It's almost time for evening meal. Are you hungry?
So then why... I mean... Why hasn't he healed you? How do you watch all these healings today? Does it bother you?
Fair questions. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about all of this. I mean, I suppose one big thing is that I haven't asked.
Why not?
I don't know.
Love it.
If I had your struggle and I was watching what was happening today, I'd demand it.
I don't know if I should. It just doesn't feel right. You know, and I suppose I've just been grateful that he got me to follow him in spite of it, but it's never come up, not even once. And I'm just afraid that if I mention it to him, it will make him change his mind about me or something.
Wow. Wow.
I'm pretty sure he knows your situation. It's not like if you pointed out, he'd be surprised.
Mary!
I love that Thomas is asking all these questions. And it's not to create
We thought you were coming tomorrow.
conflict, right?
Some friends were able to come with me earlier.
But for a deeper
so they
understanding.
dropped me
I
off
love
today, And they're seeing some family in the area.
You'll be with us for a little while, yes?
Do the feast and then we'll see.
Oh, Philip! Shalom! What are you doing here?
I'm with your son now.
Is
John all right? I haven't spoken to him in a while.
John is fine, but he said the time was now, so here I am trying to make myself useful.
Uh-huh.
Mary, this is Matthew. He wasn't with us at the wedding.
Ah, shalom, Matthew. Welcome. Oh, look. That's fine clothing.
Thank you.
Well, what do you do?
I don't. I
He's
was.
a new student. Jesus called him.
Ah, lovely. Well, I'm sure you're someone special. So, was today a very long day? I saw a lot of people. Simon told me to come back here. Do we know when Jesus will be finished?
We walked here from Philippi this morning, and he hasn't stopped since then.
He has always been a worker. He gets that from his father. Both of them, I suppose. Speaking of work, I see the food.
That was
You
clever.
look exhausted. I'm here to help. We'll have it ready very, very soon.
Stephanie, that question is very common. That was all brilliant. One single shot. It was getting dark. Everybody was good. The conversation wasn't rushed. It didn't feel like there was pressure on the actors' parts to get through the lines, which is common. I think if you're doing a single shot, you don't want to. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. One, you're trying to beat the sun. Two, you're trying not to mess up, so you don't have to ruin the whole thing.
Do one of your meaningless question games.
They're not meaningless. They're interesting. And I've got one I've been thinking about lately. What would you do for unlimited money? Or what would you give up to have all the money you could ever want for the rest of your life?
Meaning, would I do something painful?
Yes. Or crazy? Would you run through the marketplace with no clothes on, screaming?
Of course not. I'd be killed by a soldier.
Plus, it would be immodest. It would be a sin.
Fine, something that wasn't a sin. Would you give up your left hand if you would be rich the rest of your life?
Maybe not a full hand, but a couple of fingers, sure.
What about love? Would you give up ever getting married?
I don't know. Simon, is it worth it?
Absolutely, but you'll never be so lucky to find someone like Eden, so take the money.
I've never had much money my whole life, and I've been happy.
I don't expect we'll have much money for as long as we're following him.
But you have had some money before, yes? Are you happier now or then?
Ask Matthew.
John?
What? That was a bad question? You brought up money. Matthew's had it, we have not.
I feel better
That's true.
now. I don't know if that means happy.
It's not polite to talk about personal money.
Just a question. I think about it sometimes. And then I feel guilty
For what?
for thinking about things I shouldn't. For wanting things I shouldn't care so much about. Sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's life. Like when I look at myself from the outside, it doesn't always feel like me. It feels like someone who's trying to live up to the heroes of our history. Like I have to do something great. But I know I'm not great.
Oh man.
Know it even more now, being with him.
I understand. I feel like I need to not make any more mistakes.
How do you think I felt?
I. Everyone
must
keeps
feel
saying
that every
I.
day. No?
Who is this I?
Not anymore. He always reassured me, and God always made me feel like I shouldn't be burdened.
So how did you feel when it happened?
When what happened?
His birth. Even before that, how did you know? When did you know who he was?
I don't know. We're all tired. Do you really want to hear all that?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
She's like, well, I'm too tired to tell it, so.
Well, nothing about it was easy. I can tell you that. It wasn't in my hometown. My mother wasn't there. We had no midwife. I don't know if I'm ready to give all the details. Maybe some other time. But I do remember this. When Joseph handed him to me, it was like nothing I expected. It was like everything I'd heard about having a baby, but I thought this would be completely different.
What do you mean?
I had to clean him off. He was covered in... I will be polite. He needed to be cleaned. And he was cold. And he was crying. And he needed my help. My help. A teenager from Nazareth. It actually made me think for just one moment. Is this really the Son of God? And Joseph later told me he briefly thought the same thing. But we knew he was. I don't know what I expected.
That's interesting.
But he was crying and he needed me. And I wondered how long that would last. He doesn't need me anymore. Not since we taught him how to walk and eat. He hasn't needed me for a long time, I suppose. And after Joseph passed, may he rest in peace, he grew up even quicker. And I wish I could say that made me happy. Of course, as a Jew, I'm excited to see everything he does for our people, and I'm proud of him. But as a mom, it makes me a little sad sometimes.
That was sweet.
So it's good to be with all of you for a bit. I can find ways to help. We'll take it.
That was sweet. Real quick pause here. It's interesting to see this side of the story, because when you are barely learning about like Christ and who he is or who he was, from the mouths of a lot of Christians, you hear that, you know, he was the Messiah, he's the Savior. You hear sort of the stuff that you hear towards the end of his life and what he did, you know, that he gave his life for you. But to hear the story from the mother who says, here's this, she thought it was going to be something like different than every other baby, but he wasn't. He was just like every other baby, dependent on her. Like her job was to nurture and make sure that this child was safe, just like any other child, right? Only slightly different, because she, you know, if she failed at that, we wouldn't have the story that we have today if she would have failed at that. So it was the same, but it wasn't the same on a whole other level. You know, it makes you think. It makes you really, really think about well, him as a human being, right? It's interesting how we have to sort of separate him, sort of split him into two persons. One is the God, and the other the human. And just like every other human, he was delicate and vulnerable. Vulnerable is like the word, right? That was interesting. It was really sweet. And plus, she suffered like every other mother. It's like he needed her, and she loved that he needed her because she felt like she had purpose. And then when he gets older, he depends on her less, and then her identity, like as a mother, starts to sort of fade away because it's like he doesn't need me anymore. So what am I? Who am I? What do I mean to him? So she's now joined the group, and she's like, that's why I'm happy to be here, because now she feels like she has a purpose again, like she's helpful again. And it speaks to the very not human side of us, but the spiritual side of us, that we were created to serve and to be of service to one another, and that there is something beautiful that comes with serving other people, with helping other people, with being helpful. My grandfather used to say, and I'll say in Spanish and then I'll translate it in English, el que no vive para servir no sirve para vivir, which means he or she who does not live to serve does not deserve to live. It sounds harsher in English, but that's the gist of it, that we are here to serve and to be of service to others. So if you're with that, hit that like button now, Familia. I'd appreciate it very much. Thanks. Let's continue this beautiful story.
Simon, when you were just with him, did it seem it would go for very long?
It's tough to tell. The line was dying down, but he won't send anyone away anyway, so we'll see.
I'll go check on them. Can I take your plate?
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know he lost his father. I lost mine several years ago. I'll have to ask him about that.
Hmm.
Has anyone else lost a parent?
Oh, before I continue, I'm gonna say something here. It's really important that we listen to these conversations. There's a reason why these conversations were written into The Chosen. Whether you believe that these conversations actually took place, or whether you're like being super critical about like whether or not it's fitting scripture, it may not be in scripture. Certain things that they show in this show, but it's really important for us to be able to see as just like an archetype of who we identify with, right? We to a certain degree identify with Matthew, right? Well, some of us identify with Matthew, that you are good at something, you love what you do, and because other people, maybe because it imposes on other people, or maybe because just people don't like what you do, they identify you with what you do, and then they treat you harshly, right? Or maybe you identify with someone like Simon, who's overprotective, who wants order and organization and wants to be the leader, right? Or maybe you identify with any of these other characters. With like what happened with that conversation with the gentleman who's, I forgot who it was, sorry, the one who said that he suffered from, I forgot what it was. Anyway, he was talking to Thomas. It's important to see how he was thinking, that he didn't want to bother Jesus with his ailment. He didn't want to bother him because he thought, what if I ask him to heal me, and it bothers him so much that he turns me away? So I'd rather follow and still be in my disease, or still be in my illness. Like, what was important for him was to follow. That was what was important. He not knowing how Jesus was actually going to suffer later on down the line, right? Sorry, spoiler alert. But that he was going to follow the Father, continue in his path, even through that horrible suffering that he's gonna endure. Sort of, this story is kind of preparing us for that. That little John, thank you, was enduring, or is enduring, his suffering to follow Christ. So these little things are important to hold on to. Okay, now I'll continue. So Thomas just said, has anybody else lost a father?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Was it recent?
No. It was when I was a little girl.
It's painful. Sorry.
Thank you. It was. I didn't fully understand it right away, but eventually it made me really angry.
Mm-hmm.
And I left when I was young.
Left home?
Left everything.
She loves her father, right? Losing him made her angry. And then it led her to the lifestyle she lived.
I tried to stop acting like a Jew. I tried to stop being myself. And then later, as some of the people from our town, including some of you, knew about, worse things happened. Most of it is a blur. But I forgot so much of everything I learned as a little girl.
But now you can catch up.
With Matthew and Reba. You all are so far ahead, and you're so good at all of this.
We're not as good as you think.
Yeah, most of us. But you were the one with your nose in the writing, still are.
A little. Not as good as others.
Oh, come on. You can recite half of Torah if you had to. Maybe.
Still going. I couldn't do any more, but they said they've got it.
I really want to be a good student.
I don't think any of us went to Bet Midrash or did much study after school. What's so surprising about all this? Thomas, did you?
No, I was in the family business the day after I graduated. 13 years old, and I was preparing and serving food at weddings. I was not a student at all, believe me.
Hey, I wasn't even good at praying until recently. I would get bored with it. You know, the same thing over and over, and I learned to love it as I got older.
I wasn't great at any of it when I was a student.
I wasn't either. I didn't like all the rules.
I never struggled with it. I do what I'm told.
Yes, I'm the same. I've always been a rule follower.
I always loved the history, the story, so I always loved the rules too.
Simon?
I had my moments.
One time, when my parents were asleep, I had meat with cheese, just to see what I was missing. Have you ever done that?
I'd feel too guilty.
You feel guilty about everything. Right after you were born, you said sorry to Ima for causing her pain.
Forget the guilt. I was sick for days. I haven't violated a single food rule since.
I tried pork once.
How?
Well, we were traveling, and we were in a Gentile marketplace, and I just grabbed a piece.
Really?
Oh, it was marvelous.
One time on the boat, we were approaching a Shabbat sunset, and Abba and John had finished their tasks, and I still had to put my fish in the barrels because I had so many.
No, it's because you were going too slow. Too careful.
No, it was because I had so many.
Okay.
So you have to put
He said,
them
okay.
away, obviously, before the sun sets, or they'll rot the next day, and you can't clean them during Shabbat. So I started yelling to the others, "Hey, come on, help me!" No, they just laughed at me and walked home. And I had to work so hard and so fast, I ended up spilling some of the fish back in the water. But I finished just in time. And I was breathing so hard, I vomited on the shore.
You have to wait 2 whole days to clean it up. Oh, sorry.
I've grown to love being Jewish, and I've grown to love following the law, but It can be exhausting.
Following the law or being Jewish?
Both.
Always has been. Even before the occupation.
Yes, but aren't we used to it by now? Hasn't it made us stronger?
I don't get it, if I'm honest. I don't know why God has allowed the occupation.
Those
I'd
questions.
like to ask him more about that. Why this has been allowed for so long. It's hard to feel like the chosen people.
I've been there.
But it's all worth it now, yes? The wait is over.
What about you?
What do you mean?
Has it been difficult for you all this time? The occupation, following Jewish law.
My life has not been easy.
Oh, it hasn't. What was more painful for you? Escaping Roman persecution by working for them, or escaping your guilt with all the money? And now you're catching up on Torah and wanting to follow the law. Why now all of a sudden? Why not all the other times you had the chance?
Simon?
No, John, I want to know. Mary had horrible trauma. She didn't choose all that happened to her. What's your excuse?
What do you want me to say? I don't know what you want from me.
An apology.
What?
Wow.
Simon's not wrong. He could be more delicate about it, but you did choose to work for them. And you made my life even harder than it already was.
This went south
And you haven't apologized.
really fast.
No, don't say it. I don't want you to apologize. It doesn't matter. What would hearing him say sorry do? I won't forgive it anyway.
What keeps putting you in authority?
Yeah.
Who are you to forgive or not to forgive?
What, you're on his side?
No, of course not, but you've had your problems too.
Mm.
What about apologizing for what you almost did to us with the Romans?
I didn't go through with it. I was trying to save my family's life, and I love you, John, but that's not something you have to worry about when Zeb and Salome are looking out for you. But you put me in a desperate position where I did things I would never have done otherwise. And I've repented for them, and John and James, I am sorry, but I didn't go through with it.
What is your excuse? I was a successful businessman, and yet I was always behind.
He wasn't your tax collector.
Quit defending him. I want an answer.
Hey, you're new.
Whoa.
Do you even know what it's like to be Jewish? To suffer for centuries and centuries because of it, but to still commit to it? To protect our heritage even though it never stops being painful, because the one comfort we have is to know that we're doing it together. That we're all suffering together, but if we just wait a little longer, if we hold tight just a little more, we'll have rescue because we're chosen, all of us. And you betrayed that, and you spit on it. I can't forgive it. I'll never forgive it.
All right. You said what you needed to say. Sit down, Simon.
You sit down first.
Whoa. Can you hear the heavy breathing?
Good night.
Hug it out, man. Come on.
You got blood on your hands. One more. There we go.
I'm a mess. Good. What would I do without you, Ima?
Get some sleep.
Okay. I'm so tired.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings sleep to my eyes and slumber to my eyelids. May it be your will, Lord my God, God of my ancestors, that I lie down in peace and that I arise in peace.
Wow, the timing of that couldn't have been more perfect. All right, so let's briefly dissect that beautiful message there at the end, Familia. Here we have followers of Christ at each other's throat, identifying Matthew for who he was, right? That was who he was. Then quickly the spotlight is shining on Simon and what he had to do. And he justifies that because he didn't follow through on something, right? Meanwhile, Matthew is sitting there quietly. Everyone defending one another. Everyone, all of that energy, all of that anger and that resentment and that sort of, what do you call it? What do you call this? Self-righteousness, this high horse, I'm better than you, what I say goes attitude. And then Jesus, who has been with people from the morning. These people, these apostles are taking breaks and they're having a nice conversation by the fire while Jesus is meeting with people, while he's touching people, listening to people, healing people. And if any of you have ever just been that person that is there for everyone when people need you, that when someone is having a bad day, they go to you to unload, or when someone is going through something heavy with their spouse or their family, they turn to you to unload, or when someone's having a bad day, they take it out on you, and you just sit there and you listen. You know, if that's ever been you, you know how exhausting that can be. You know how the tension that comes with that, the mental frustration that you can't do more than what you're already doing, the heaviness that comes with also seeing someone you love in pain, wishing that there could be something that you could do to relieve their pain. And you do anything. Some of you stay up late with your sick children. Some of the stories I've heard in the last few weeks have tended to a sick loved one. There was this beautiful story that I read from one of you that you found out your husband was dying of cancer and you cared for him. Or it was something along the lines that they were always grossed out by like blood and guts and stuff, and they overcame that just so that they can take care of their partner. And the beauty that comes with knowing that you help someone. A lot of us need help. Some of you are brave enough to open up and talk about it. Others, you hold it in silence. You don't even want to tell people that you're hurting because you don't want to be a burden. But who do you talk to? Who do you talk to? Who do you go to? So you can imagine what Jesus was going through all day long, doing what he was created to do, to heal others, because he could. Some of us can cook a meal for someone and we won't. Some of us can help someone who's in need and we won't. We let the world be in the condition that it's in, knowing well that we can do something about it, and we don't. We let it burn and then we blame the devil. It hurts, Familia. It hurts to see that we have something here. We all have something here, Familia. Look, let's just step aside for a little bit, okay? Step outside of the Christian box for just one moment, and let's look at it from an outside perspective. And let's assume that we're not in it, okay? But let's look at that story. We have Jesus who's in heaven. We have a Father who created all of mankind, and mankind fell into suffering. And here we have Jesus who says he loves us so much that he wants us all to be with him. So he comes down and he takes flesh to be with us, to suffer with us, to show us that he's willing to do anything for us to be with him. And he takes all that suffering, all of the suffering of the world, he takes all on his shoulder, and he dies so that all of that suffering can be relieved, because he wants us to be with him. It's that simple. He wants us to be with him. We say that we want to be with him, but we cling to the things of this world. We say we don't, but if you take a close look at our lives, we are so attached to this world. It's not even funny. I'm not trying to be, philosophical here. I'm not trying to be spiritual here. I just want to point to something that is true, that we can all observe without having to look at scripture. This is observable. We all are suffering, and we're suffering, and sometimes that suffering causes us to make others suffer, which is how we can understand one another, which is how we can be more empathetic. Simon was asking the right questions, but he was asking from a bad place, because he didn't really want to know and understand Matthew. He's already made up his mind that he already knows Matthew, and he's blaming him for everything that he's done, or everything that's happened to him. I mean, he's blaming him for how the condition of his life, but he wasn't the Roman. And he's like, why now? Why are you following now? What changed? He was asked to follow. And I'm not saying that's the only reason. But he followed. He's obeying. He's doing what he said. He's obeying. And now he's wanting to learn more about it. And look at the resistance he's met, because of who he was. Look at that. And it's funny. It's not really funny, but we say it's funny. I don't know why we use that term, but it's funny. We have all these, they're arguing, and then Christ comes in, and he's walking, and he's heavy, and you could hear it in his breathing. His mother tends to him, and he's like, what would I do without you? He's like, he's all gratitude. He's all service. He's all gratitude. He's not complaining. He didn't say, well, how can I be the chosen one if I was born in a manger? Even Matthew had better birth conditions probably than he did. No, maybe not. But if Matthew had a baby, his baby would probably be born under better conditions. And yet, he's doing one thing, Familia. And when we said last week to take up your cross and follow, it's to take up your cross and follow. That's what that means. Take up your cross and follow. Watch him. Fix your eyes on him. See what he's doing. He's not complaining about what he has to do, about what he must do. He's not complaining. He's looking to see where there's a need, and he's filling that need. He's filling a need. And that has nothing to do with Christianity. I'm sorry if I sound kind of harsh towards Christianity, but I can't call myself a Christian. I can't. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that I'm still a student. There's still much to learn, to sort of like a badge, like it does feel kind of like a badge. You earn that. You don't just say some words. You don't just think something or just accept or surrender and say, yes, I accept him. Now I'm a Christian. No. To follow, you have to follow. Not words. Him. Thought I heard my phone vibrate. Follow him. Fix your eyes on him. When the world says, hey, step away, take a little break from that and come over here and, watch this, do this. I don't know. When it tempts you, that you hold on to your cross and just fix your eyes on him. That you hear his voice with all of your being. I've been asked that several times already. How do I know the difference between his voice and my own voice? Because it's not just in my head. It's not just a feeling in my heart. It vibrates in my entire being, from front to back, from high to low, from in to out. Like, it vibrates, and I radiate him. He radiates in me. Sorry for the noise out there, but it's not something just thought here. It's not something just felt here. It's something lived. It becomes who I am. That space is who I am. In there is the I am. I'm not trying to teach new philosophy. I'm not trying to teach new anything. I simply want to point out that and the wild thing about this is that this episode was so beautiful, and it was so beautifully paced, and the characters, it went so deep into the characters. It pains me to see that people were so picky about all of this. There's a super strong message here. Oh, Dallas, thank you for joining us. I appreciate this so much that you took the time to be here with us. That last bit, and the fact that it closed out without music was just brilliant. It leaves us there in that space. It created this emotion in us that we should stop fighting with one another and focus on what is at hand here, and to follow, to be of service. Oh, I just realized that's my stomach making noises. I guess, see, this is the thing, Familia, this is a beautiful thing, like I mentioned about them gathering around that fire. It's important to have these types of conversations with people, to be open and to be honest with each other. Just me opening up like I am right now, all the tension that I was feeling in my stomach this whole week is starting to like let go. It's starting to ease up. I understand that some of you are conflicted and confused about the title, non-Christian. Believe me, this is the best thing for myself, is to not call myself anything, so I'm not distracted by anything, none of the rules, none of the rituals, none of the traditions, none of that stuff, not be distracted by anything, and fix my entire focus completely on this man. This man who wants me to be with him. And guess what? I am here, and I'm with him too. That's the way that it should be. Not you have. So let's go back into the Christian box. We stepped out. We looked at it. We saw that there's Christ wants us to be with him. This is why all of this happened. He wants us to be with him. Do we want to be with him? Do we want to be with him? And if so, there's not a thing, an action that you need to take in order for you to do that, to be with him. Just a simple want positions you there with him already. That's all. Archie boy's barking because my brother's having lunch. But that's just it, Familia. I want to encourage you to watch those last few like 20 minutes. Watch how the tension builds up, and look at the faces of these actors and how they looked at Jesus as he was walking by. Look at his mother, the emotion in his mother's face as he right before she made the decision to go over and clean his feet and wash him. And listen to what he did at the end there. As he lays there and he's praying. He could have been so tired that he was like, I don't even want to do that right now tonight. I'm just going to bed. How many times have we not done that? That we forget to give thanks for the food that we're about to eat. That we forget to give thanks for waking up in the morning. That even though you had a horrible day, that you give thanks that you made it through, and that maybe you learned something, and that maybe you're not the same person that you were when you woke up that morning. And if you're lucky, you'll get to do it again tomorrow. I saw we had a super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dallas, thank you so much for taking the time to spend some time with us here as well. It means a lot to me. All right, I'm excited about episode 4. We're doing it on Monday at the same time, 2 p.m. And I can't wait to see. I honestly thought since this episode was coming to an end, it was getting close. I was like, okay. Everybody said, I know he's gonna cry this episode, and I'm like, nope, wrong again. But that last moment was just so beautiful, so beautiful. I didn't do it. I didn't plan on having it, but I had some tissue ready to go just in case. I've had it in every episode. Archie's freaking your dog out. Sorry, Archie's freaking out. But definitely giving this episode 5 Archies as well. 33 Archies, actually, we're doing it. So yes, please, Familia, if there's anyone in need of prayer, anyone at all, or if any of you want to get together and share your stories with us, please join us on our free prayer server on Discord. Also want you all to know that our good friend Matthew, he has a, like on Thursdays he usually, but I think he's going to talk about this tomorrow or later on today. He has a discussion about these episodes as we're watching them along, so you can, gain more insight, or maybe, I think he touches on like scripture and how it ties to the episode. So you don't want to miss that. Dallas, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that so much, good sir. Excellent job, by the way, in that opening sequence there, all in one shot. Actors all did really good job. The pace of the dialogue was beautiful and very well done. Even those tiny little pauses, like when Mary said something, they all paused, and I think it was Philip who said that was good. Even that tiny little pause was perfectly paced. Didn't even feel like it was rushed at all, which I'm assuming happens when you're like, okay, we're losing daylight, so let's get this, all that pressure. And the farther you go along, the closer you get to finishing that shot. Come on, Archie boy. That the closer you get to finishing that shot, the more intense the pressure gets. So congratulations, man. Beautiful show. I can't wait for season 3. Hopefully this time, if I'm invited, hopefully this time I can make it to the set. But thank you all so much for watching, Familia. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch along with me. Thank you for sharing your hearts and for sharing your stories with me. Go over to our communities tab whenever you get a chance and answer some of the questions that I've been asking these last few days. I'm really enjoying hearing your stories, so I appreciate it. Yeah, those are Archie's opinions on the show. All right, Familia. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on Monday. All right. Continue spreading love.